Now we're live.
We're live.
We're live, and today, do you have sales training for us, or speaker training, or what kind of magician's work?
Sure. What would you like? You know, I realized we never really got into the topic last week. We ended up, we did a lot of training and a lot of concepts and stuff, but we never really talked about what do you do when you're working to launch something new, right? We kind of briefly touched on it, but we didn't really.
So what are we talking from, like a sales perspective?
Well, yeah, I think it's very similar but it becomes all inclusive. You know, when you're launching anything, you've got to, the reason that you would launch anything is you want your situation to be different. Would that be correct?
Yes.
The reason to do anything else new would be because,
yes.
What's that?
Yours or someone else's?
Yeah, either way. And so, but I mean, specific to your own business, if you would.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've got to first decide, and this is where the Dare to Dream acronym. Sheesh, I need more coffee. The Dare to Dream acronym comes in, and the D in dream is decide on your future. Most people don't. In other words, there are some folks.
Acronym. What does Dare to Dream stand for?
Well, the dream is the acronym, DR. So if you want to really improve anything in your life, if you want to make any massive changes, if you want to launch something in your business, one of the ways that I have clients remember it is to dare them to dream. And dream is the 5-letter acronym for the process of really doing that. And the D in dream is decide on your future. It doesn't matter whether it's Tony Robbins, who says, know your outcome, or Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. Jack Canfield, start with a vision. I just say decide on your future, right? I mean, we're all saying the same thing in slightly different ways. Is if where you are is not where you want to be, the first thing you have to do is decide you're not where you want to be. And you have to decide where you want to be. Sure. I mean, it sounds very simple, and it on one side is kind of very simple, but many people don't. They jump from one thing to another just because they jump from one thing to another. But everything has a process to it. I mean, if a young newly married couple says we want to have a baby, that's a decision. So then, but that decision then starts the rest of it, and it starts the other things that have to happen to have that baby, right?
Okay.
So you've got to first decide, and decide comes from the Latin decise, and decise is to cut off. So when you make a decision, you are cutting off the other options that are there. We have all worked with, and I'm going to do the classic we all, because I think it's really true. Everyone has worked with somebody at one point, and I don't think anybody ever goes into trying to create a working relationship with somebody knowing that it won't work. I don't think that's not the way we're built. We don't attempt things going, well, I'm going into this to fail. It's just not the way people do things. So you have to first decide on your future. Where do you want to go? Sean and I got sick and tired of being sick and tired with speakers and people taking advantage of people, and decided to create a community that was a trusted, vetted resource network, a safe place, that you could, okay, we're empathetic with the fact that somebody or something has harmed you in the past. We work diligently to put this group of people together in this community in such a way that they don't do that. So that there's a conscious decision, right? You have to cut off certain people.
Woo, fun stuff.
Well, it's not, I didn't say it, nobody said it was fun. Nobody said it was easy. It's just, if you want to, it's sometimes what you have to do. It's interesting because sometimes people say, man, you've had a lot of crap happen in your career. Yeah, I have. You know why? Because I've done a lot of stuff in my career. The more stuff you do and the more action you take, the more crap is going to come across your world. If you don't do anything, it's real easy to not have anything bad happen, which is why many people don't take action. If I don't take action,
nothing can happen.
Nothing bad can happen to me.
Nothing bad can happen, but nothing good can happen either.
Exactly. So it's the old, and this is where some of the psychology of it all comes from. Well, if I don't ask you for the sale, you can't reject me. You can't say no. So I'll give you the best product presentation in history. But if I don't ask you for the sale, and you don't say no, I wasn't rejected. Well, if I do ask you for the sale and you say no, I still wasn't rejected. The product may have been rejected, or there's no need for the product that was rejected. Rejection comes, nobody can reject you but you. Nobody can reject you. It's not possible. It does not happen. Now, do people say, oh, you made me feel this way? No, they didn't. You believed the crap they just threw at you, and you've chosen to feel that way. You can't upset me without my permission. You can't reject me without my permission. So I'm the one who, I had somebody tell me last night, there's this guy that just doesn't like you. Okay. That's it. Sure. I said, if you can share what I have done, I will modify that. But if you can't tell me what I've done to quote unquote create that, I can't change how somebody feels about me. The only one who can change how somebody feels about me is them. So all I can do is demonstrate a consistent level of activity that they would like, as opposed to one that they wouldn't like. But I didn't change. They have to make the decision to change how they feel. So again, it's decide on your future. I think the point was somebody was trying to get me all riled up that, well, they don't like you. But I'm sorry. There's never a time that I purposefully do something to go, gosh, I hope I can do this so somebody doesn't like me. I mean, that's happened exactly never. You don't do that, right?
Right.
So, Rayanne, thank you, Rayanne. She said, that's correct, Scott. Trying to share with my kids, if others don't like you, that's okay. It is. Because all you can do is demonstrate a consistent level of activity that people can say, I like that, or I don't like that. I can't make you do anything. The only one who can make you do something is you. It's not, and this is where people many times, so it's not what somebody says to you that counts. It's what you say to you after they stop talking that counts. If somebody says, Jena, you're just this digital marketing, you're not cut out for this. I mean, could somebody say that? Sure, they could.
Sure.
But it's not the fact that they said it that counts. It's the fact that you either accept it and you say, oh, you're right. Gosh, I've been found out. Son of a bitch. This is, that's terrible.
Imposter syndrome is something that many digital marketers and speakers, coaches, business owners do deal with heavily.
Yeah. So
they feel like they don't belong no matter what they've accomplished. Like people who've accomplished building major businesses, major campaigns, still suffer with that. That's like a regular, like before they get on stage, like it's spoken about regularly in the back, like big stage, it's a lot of people. Do I belong up there?
Well, and so as an example, that's where I created my pre-event prayer. And it doesn't, what is event is when I go on stage, when I do these calls, when I get on a phone call with a prospective client, that's all of those are events, right? So the exact same prayer happens before each one of those. And that is, Lord, allow the words I share here today to positively impact 100% of the lives in this audience, one way, shape, or form. Only you know who you sent here to hear this message. Allow me to do the best I can to deliver that message, be a vehicle and of service to you. That's all I can ever control, is the desire to have a high intention and a low attachment to the material. A high intention of what I'm working to provide and a low attachment as to how you accept that piece of information or how it causes you to react. See, if I'm connected to everything, that's when it's like, well, did you like my work? Did you like my talk? Was that really good? Did you get something from it? Oh, right. Now you're attached to it. My intention, every time we get on these calls, every time we get on these lives, is to provide value to those on the other side of this. That is high intention. Now,
and how does that help with launching new products?
Well, it's the same thing. If you're going to launch and you decide on your future, your intention is to have it work and benefit many people. So as part of that, it's having a high intention of, when we started doing these lives, there was no guarantee anybody would ever show up. There was no guarantee that anybody would ever listen. There was no guarantee that anybody would ever watch the playback. There's no guarantee that we would ever get any business from it. So why would you do it? Because our intention from the beginning has been to provide value to whomever chooses to watch it. At the same time, high attachment would be, oh my God, do you realize right this second we only have one viewer watching this live? Oh my God, that's just horrible. Oh, rah, 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 rah.
You know what my intention behind that one is? I'd rather do it live, have 0 viewers, but all the editing, everything's done. It's just done. You don't have to sit there and take it into iMovie and Final Cut Pro and do all that. You record it once, you're out.
Yeah, so
and you share it.
So again, but think of the Dare to Dream acronym. The D is design your future, or decide or design. You can say either word, right? But really decide on your future. What do you want to? Well, we want to be able to provide great value to people. We want to show them, some tools that are available to them that they could potentially use themselves, or if they decide I don't want to use them themselves, hey, I'll call on you guys to do this with me or for me. There's all sorts of different things, but a decision had to be made to start these lives.
Yes, an active decision.
Okay, so that's the first. The R stands for restructure your activities. So in Dare to Dream, the R in dream is restructure your activities. So when it came down for us to now do the lives, what did we have to do? What time of day works for you consistently for us to do this? did you or I have any other potential meetings from 9 to 10 a.m. Central Time through this entire time frame?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So therefore, we had to restructure that. We had to say, no, we will block off this period of time to do this particular task. And that's what a lot of people, so the one thing that's happening here is consistency. This is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's when people can join live. That's when there's never been a time where we haven't said, oh, we're not going to talk about your comments, or we're not going to raise your questions, or we're not going to do whatever, right?
Yep.
So again, we've restructured the activities. We've restructured a little bit how we talk back and forth sometimes to some of the people who are watching the lives, right? We actually pulled them in, right?
And sometimes we kicked them out.
Well, that would be another choice, yes. But do you understand how, so it's the only way to gain feedback is to take an action. So again, in selling, what a lot of people do is, that's why it's called the trial close. Because I'm going to ask you, I'm in a soft and not formal way, I'm going to ask a question that now gives me an indication whether we're going in the right direction or not in the presentation. So is this making some sense? That's a trial close. Because I'm, again, everything is sales. Everything is a presentation. So even as I'm delivering, quote unquote, training information, I trial close along the way. Is this sinking in? Does this make sense? Do you see how you could use this going forward? Those are all trial closes. And all I'm doing is asking for a confirmation that the information is going in the right direction for you personally, which is why we welcome people to join us live, because if it's not, then they could comment right then and there.
And I love those little questions sometimes, just to, I learned how to do those little questions when I'm talking to people just in general. So just so they're part of the conversation and you're not talking over them and it's relevant, because if it's not relevant to them, why don't keep talking?
Well, and that's most salespeople talk themselves out of sales.
That's kind of sad.
It's tremendously sad. It's not kind of sad, and it's also tremendously true.
Unless you're talking someone out of a sale that wasn't meant for them anyways. I appreciate those salespeople.
True, but that's different, and that's a purposeful recognition that the benefits provided by this choice do not align with your needs, wants, and desires. And that's admirable. Not many people do that. That would be like saying, hey, you've come to me, and it's obvious that you need digital marketing. It's obvious you need CRM systems and some automation in your business. And while I can help you write that, you know who would probably do a better job of that to serve that specific need is my friend Jena. So how about if I put you two together? Would that be okay? But do you understand, would that be okay as a closing question? So I'm closing you into the idea of introducing you to you, introducing a person to you, right?
Still closing.
Everything's closing. You're still going in that same direction, right? Closing it, and again, it's funny because I actually trained on this for a while. I said, and it's such a change in concept for most people that it just was like, yeah, I'm not winning this one, but it's something I tried.
Yeah.
I said, it's something that I put into action for a period of time.
Okay.
And that was, instead of looking at it as closing the sale, look at it as opening the ongoing relationship. That it's really not closing, it's actually opening a long-term relationship, which is actually what a sale is. It's now the start of a long-term ongoing relationship.
It should be that way.
That's the way it should be.
Nobody wants to feel like they're just something like, I don't know, like a trophy to be won. Like, let's just go get it and be done with it.
Well, some people look at it I was talking to a client the other day, and I said, that's the old style of selling. That's caveman style selling. Bang them in the head, drag them back to the table. It's, come with me. I'm going to put you in. I know you don't need this product, but gosh, I can make money on it. So do it.
Trials.
That's a spelling issue.
Oh, to ensure their
Balloons.
desire to change their mind.
That's trails balloons. Trial balloons is what.
Oh.
So you got to read Sean. You just got to speak Sean sometimes. I speak 2 languages. I speak English and Sean. So no. What he's saying is absolutely, it's trial balloons to ensure that the desire to change their mind to use you. I mean, the trial is that trial closing question, right? Makes sense. That's a closing question.
Okay.
People think that the process is really hard, and it can be if you make it hard. It doesn't need to be. So again, we decide on our future, we restructure our activities, but then what do you have to? Okay, so now we cleared a path to do this at 9 o'clock every Monday through Friday. What did we have to do next? The E in Dare to Dream is execute the plan. We actually have to show up every day at 9 o'clock. And now you need to fire up Be Live, and then you need to send me the link, and then we need to get on here, and then we need to do whatever we have decided to do that day. And it doesn't matter whether this is long-term or short-term. Do you understand? We have to do what we decided, the D, to do that day. So now we execute the plan. Now, this is where the vast majority of people, or a big part of why they don't take the action, is because, well, my plan isn't perfect. Welcome to the club. I said it to Sean yesterday. We were laughing about this because we quote, and you started this when you said, done is the new perfect.
It's got to be.
Well, but I mean, you said that in one of our lives, a few weeks ago, and we've actually adopted it. And that's what, now it's in our conversation, both with each other and with other people.
Maybe I should say it more often to more people. It resonates that's one of those like political statements where you're coming up with something that's really short, sweet, explains the entire message with as few words as humanly possible.
It's a great statement. Done is the new perfect. Stop trying to be perfect. Be done. And then, but again, that actually goes into the DREAM acronym. We'll talk about that here in a second, of how it follows. It's an absolutely accurate statement. You have to execute. You have to do something. So if we had very tight and very specific goals for what we're doing with these lives, we would have to execute towards those, and that would become the measurables in all of this, right? One of the things in digital marketing, obviously, is test, 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 test. Why do you test?
So you know if it works or not.
Novel concept, isn't it? boy, that's a tough one. But you have to execute the test in order to test. In other words, split testing is you execute plan A, and you also execute plan B, and then look at who respond. But you've had to execute not once, but you've had to execute twice. So people go, well, have you split test this? No. Why not? Oh my God, that's complicated. What they're really not telling you is, hell, I'm just lucky I executed once. Right? But now you're asking me to execute twice? Oh my God. So again, no matter how you're going to launch something, think about all the changes that we made yesterday to the, U+1 drill wells page.
Yep.
U+1 drill wells is great, but U+1 drill more wells is better. Right?
Yeah.
But in order to get to U+1 drill more wells, we had to get to U+1 drill wells. We had to get to the first step. We had to execute something, and that was part of the process. This is where a lot of people, they decide on their future. I want to make more money. I want a bigger house. I want to go on a vacation. I want to help a gazillion people. Awesome. Any one of those is awesome. They restructure their activities. How can I help more people? Well, I'm going to go to more events. I'm going to make more phone calls. I'm going to do whatever. They restructure the activity. And then they go, yeah, but gosh, I hate talking on the phone. So it comes to execution point, and then they don't do it.
That's the big one right there. Everyone, that's everything. I would love to have 6-pack abs and weigh 100 pounds less, and they've got the dream, and they'll start to change their,
They'll go to the gym.
They'll go to the gym, but maybe not consistently. Maybe they don't change their diet. The actual execution, I feel like, is where people fall flat, because that's where the hard work begins. That's where the rubber meets the road. Whatever little saying you want to use, that's where pain is.
That's, again, look at any fitness facility in January.
Loaded. In fact, it's the most expensive time to advertise on Facebook because of it.
I've decided on my future. By God, in 2019, I'm going to be a goddess or a god. I restructure my activities. I buy the membership as a Christmas present to me because I'm going to be a goddess or a god.
Yep.
I even show up for the first 10 days. I actually execute, and I actually get on the machines, and I actually lift weights, and maybe I've retained a trainer. And then I don't execute anymore, or I modify my execution. So that the A in dream is analyze the results. So now once you execute the plan, you need to analyze the results as you dare to dream. So, okay, you execute a plan. How's the plan working? Is it accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish? Are we achieving the goals we wanted to achieve? Were the goals realistic in the first place? What's going on? So again, if we look at it in the January 1st scenario, I've decided I want to be a goddess or a god. I bought a membership, and I have every intention of using it. I execute. I actually show up for the first 10 days. I realize for the first 7 days I'm sore as crap. That's the analyze the results.
Yep.
Gosh, I didn't lose 50 pounds in the first week. That sucks. You mean I got to do this longer? Oh, that's the analyzing the results part.
Yep.
And so, again, as we started putting this out and started getting more comments, it wasn't necessarily that we were getting more people to watch live, but if you look at some of the views, the number of views on some of these, it's like, holy crap, people are spending a lot of time There's got to be some value here, because a lot of people are spending a significant amount of time showing up and watching the replays. So maybe for them, it's not the right time to be here live at 9 a.m. Central Time, but the replays work in the evenings when they're home, and now have carved out that period of time as when they work on their entrepreneurial business. Maybe they have a job and they're actually at a business from 8 to 5. Cool. Knock yourself out. That's awesome. If that's right.
Yep.
But then they've decided that from 7 to 9 p.m., that's when they're going to apply themselves to their entrepreneurial business, whether that's their direct sales business, whether it's preparing themselves, to grow into whatever it is. My speaking mentor said, Scott, let me give you a piece of advice that somebody gave me one time that turned out to be the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. I said, awesome, thank you. He said, grow into it, don't go into it. So think about growing, if you want to become a professional speaker. So I was the vice president of sales and marketing for a company that did I did a lot of training. And so I spoke and I trained and I did a lot of the stuff that I do today in corporate, but I grew into getting the education, the knowledge, building the websites, creating the relationships to have that jumping off point as a professional speaker. So grow into it, don't go into it. Again, that's the A, is that allows you to analyze your results. Am I making progress towards those goals? And then the M in Dare to Dream is, Sean and I want to launch U+1. Awesome. We decided we wanted to do that. The reasons behind it, we wanted to serve more people. So we had a pretty good thought process. Restructure our activities. Well, the first thing we did is virtually every Saturday for a year we met, and we just had conversations. We executed. We started telling people what we were doing. We actually got a logo. We, starting the process, analyzed the results. Well, guess what? He was still doing a lot of things. I was still doing a lot of things. While we were making progress, we weren't really making progress. I mean, we were, but we weren't.
That makes sense.
And so then it was, hey, I know you've got specific tasks to do that are awesome. Not trying to suggest you don't, but I think we should launch a little more. We should go a little more. So I'll commit more time to it. Will you commit some more time to it? Yeah, boom. All of a sudden it starts to go. That's the modify and re-execute. So again, when you're launching any product, it's the exact, any product, whether it's your career, a job, it's all the same. Decide what you want, decide on your future, restructure your activities, execute a plan. That plan's not going to be perfect. Done is the new perfect. Do something, take an action, analyze the results. What's working? What can we do better? It's not necessarily, and this is where I think we did this as we grew one of my clients from 8 million to 100 million in 5.5 years. The question after every event was, what did we do well? What could we do better? It wasn't, what did we do well? What didn't we do well? I don't want to focus on what we didn't do well. I want to focus on what we could do better. So again, take it in the positive as you go through all this. And what did we do well? Yep, we opened the doors on time. Everybody had their name tags on. The name tags were printed in such a way that the speaker could actually read them 8 rows deep. Blah, 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 blah. When we, gave people the offer at the end, we processed the room very well. We did great. Okay, perfect. What could we have done better? Well, after the doors were open and after everybody was seated, we had that little spurt of people that showed up. We didn't really place the chairs very well. We didn't place them neatly. We didn't communicate to the people. We didn't get them their pad of paper, or whatever it might be, right? So, okay, let's make sure that, okay, if our SOP is to set a chair this way, set a chair this way. If procedure says we're supposed to give them a pad and a pen, make sure they have a pad and a pen. So again, it's all these, and then the M is modify, re-execute. And guess what you do? You come right back into it again, right? You're executing the plan, you're analyzing what's going on, you're picking what's good, how can we get better? You just keep on doing that. So I think a lot of times people think when you're launching anything, that it's just, I'm not going to suggest anybody thinks it's easy, but it's just that there's almost a one size fits all. It's really not. It's the opposite. It's a one size fits nobody. Right? It's the one size just barely fits the one person.
Well, I think that's what's interesting when people buy programs. There's the digital marketer ones with Ryan Dice and all those guys over there, Jeff Walker's different launches, and they will implement them exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And to some extent, that is perfect because done is perfect, right? Just get it done. But then they'll be like, oh, well, it's not working. Okay, well, if you were implementing, in fact, I just talked to a client or a new client. She's in the kind of like survival homesteading space, right? These people have never seen anything from Ryan Dice. So it is just amazing. And she's doing, $2 million a year teaching people how to homestead, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a marketer who's using his stuff, it's just going to fall on flat ears because everyone's already seen it.
Right.
So it fits on a lot of things that are new, but if everyone's already seen it, you can't use it on you.
Yeah, that's the again, we've got so many ways to get information today. The very best way, and it's the way it's been done for years, the apprenticeship mentorship approach has been the best way to learn anything forever. Learn from somebody who's been there and done that, face to face, toe to toe, right there, in person. It's the easiest and best way to ensure the communication. This is how the other portions of some of the things that I share in trainings, this is how the communication model plays into this. The reason, whether BeLive is the greatest platform or not the greatest platform, the reason that makes it a great platform is we can see each other and then we can hear each other. And so there is more communication available because communication is the words, it is the tonality with the words are delivered, and it is the physiology behind the words being given and received. So the point is, when we do these lives, the beauty of GoToMeeting, Webinar Jam, Zoom, BeLive, Expertise TV, name your video platform of choice.
Right.
The reason that they're powerful is they are the kind of the next level to actually being in the same room face to face at the same time.
Where you can start to see facial features and that nonverbal communication, whereas if you're just emailing or texting or even just calling, there's so much of communication that is just missed, just completely dropped.
Right. It's why videos are such a big thing on a Kickstarter page or on a donation page. If I say, we want to drill water wells in developing countries because water is life. If that's in print, true statement, but if that's in print, it now takes you to apply the tonality which is ultimately the emotion. So if you read it as, hey, help us, help us drill water wells to bring water to kids because it's life. It's like, damn, don't tell me what I need to do. But the words,
you don't like being told what to do?
Well, but the words are the same. Do you understand? But it was the tonality that I put behind it. But it was my tonality. It wasn't yours. It wasn't the outbound sender. And so I actually encourage people to read their emails 2 ways before they send it. Read it as you intended it. You're on puppy uppers. You're happy as can be. Life is grand. Everything is great. Read it that way. And then read it as if you've just got the worst phone call of your life. The sky is falling, everything else. And if you can add tone to it, which takes that message into a questionable status, so can the other person. And so so again, it goes into dare to dream, decide what you want. I want my communication to be great. Restructure your activity. Read it 2 ways before you send it. Execute. Yep. Execute it, and then talk to people afterwards. Hey, what'd you think of the email I sent you? Analyze what they say. Modify and do it again. That's why this Dare to Dream formula actually works for virtually anything that you would do, because it's a process. Here's what tends to happen is everybody's busy. We live in an immediate gratification society. We get beat around, and we stop thinking about how we should, or we stop executing what our real intent is.
Oh.
We get busy, we get, time crunch, we get this, we get that. So, I mean, it's all of this ties together. It's kind of all the consistency thing.
Well, I think that's most of life is consistency. Anything you want to accomplish, it comes down to consistency. You're not going to lose weight if you're not consistently in the gym and consistently monitoring your intake of calories of food or whatever diet you're on. You're not going to consistently make business if you, I know in agencies in general, and I have a feeling this is not just agencies, there's a problem where people will do all this effort to go get business and make sales. And as we've discussed, sales are made, the work you do today affects your sales 30, 60, 90 days out. But then they get the clients, they get a couple clients from that big push, and they're doing the work and they stop selling.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's these like ups and downs. They're in absolute famine or they're feasting.
Absolutely. And
they don't do both consistently.
It's, what do you do as an entrepreneur? Everything all the time. I mean, that's what you do. Is you go. Now you've got to learn to compartmentalize. Here's the other side of it: is friends, family, loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
The marketplace probably isn't going to understand everything all the time. Why are you doing that? Why aren't you doing this? How come? Well, because at some, again, there's 7 steps. There's 7 steps in the selling cycle.
Is that the empower one?
Yeah, that's the empower your presentations. The point is, you're at a different step with virtually everybody all at the same time.
Yes.
So where you might be in a fulfillment or just ready to get the order from one, you're in the handling the objections that came from yesterday's presentation with another, to delivering the product with another, to asking another for referrals so that you can start the process again. So if you have, literally across 7 customers, you can be in 7 different places if you do it properly. And the reason for doing it across all, and people go, well, Well, that's 7 different things I got to focus on. I'd rather just focus on 5. Well, you can, but you're missing a couple steps, which will ultimately make your task harder. Now, maybe not today it'll make it harder, but in the long run, it'll make it harder.
Yeah.
And so that's why people bounce from place to place and do from this to that and whatever. There are reasons that there are systems. There are reasons that there are processes. There are reasons that you do one thing before the second thing.
Simplify your process, simplify your business offerings, nail that one down perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over again. Build the funnel up, build content for it, do that one thing perfect, build partners for it. Do that one thing perfectly over and over and over and over again. Productize the daylights out of it, then add some complication. If you're having a hard time building a system, start simplifying.
Totally agree. Again, you've got to, who's the avatar? It's interesting because we just had a multi-thousand unit order come in on travel passports. And the way it came in was spread across 100 people. So per person, it wasn't this massive thing. Mm-hmm. It was a tiny thing. But in aggregate, it was a big thing. Well, that's an interesting story to be able to tell other people who have access to a lot of people, right? This is achievable, but you don't have to do it all yourself. As an example, we just had a client who ... right? Mm-hmm. But before that showed up that way, we didn't have the ability to say that. So now we have it. So now you have the ability to say that. That's how you grow a business. Your first day is your worst day because the only thing you have is the experience from that day. Your second day should be better than your first day because now you have the first day's experience plus the second day's experience. So then your second day becomes your worst day because your third day, you should get the first 2 days worth of experience plus the third. You're constantly feedback. Again, this is the analyze the results, the A in the Dare to Dream. You're going to be off course in life, in business, in relationships, far more than you're ever on course. It is not a matter of being off course. It is a matter of staying off course for a shorter period of time, less off course. In other words, you're going to be off course.
Okay.
But try to correct faster and less drastically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, that's where in this day and age, and it's funny, I've got a friend that I've trained for years. And way back when, I said, there is no place in business for sarcasm.
I would argue life. It's not working. And I like sarcasm.
Well, and we can argue this all you want. Here's my thought on it. You don't have to accept my thought, but here's my thought. My thought is typically the only one that thinks it's funny is the person who's delivering it. And again, this is kind of like technical speak. If you deliver sarcasm, you go, oh, they thought it was funny too. They probably really didn't. But if you take it as it is and you continue to intensify it, now there's going to come a point where there's probably a break. Let's go back to the other foundational stuff we've talked about in training. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. If you so shoot at somebody that you hurt the trust, or, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't like you calling me fat, or I don't like you, making jokes about XYZ, right? The point is,
I used to be so sarcastic, and as I've gotten older and I've seen other people use sarcasm, all I've seen sarcasm do is break down the situation, break down relationships, break apart business deals. It doesn't benefit anything.
Exactly. That's my point is, so if you know that to be true, why do it? We have a very inflammatory environment going on these days. Could we agree with that?
Oh, yes.
Right? But we have gone from a nation where you used to be able to say things innocently enough to it's almost a purposeful, I'm listening to be offended. And a friend of mine one day, and it was brilliant. And it's very simple. Learn to be unoffendable. So again, people say, well, you're a sales guy. Okay. Yeah, I'm proud to be a sales guy. But some people go, well, and try to defend it. What are you trying to defend? Then, yeah, that's what I do for a living. I sell stuff. Or I'm a speaker. Oh yeah, I speak. I loved it. I love to impart stuff to people and help train and hopefully make their life better with it. As opposed to being defensive about everything. If you're offended by everything, you're being defensive about everything.
Yes.
It's not going to change anything yet. That's not going to change anything anyway. We need to come together as a planet and realize we're all, we're all human beings. We've all been put on this earth for a reason. We're all here experiencing this at the same time. Are there social injustices? Absolutely. Is it right? Absolutely not. Well, then let's do something about it. But trading one social injustice for a different social injustice isn't probably the best way to go at it. It's why not communicate through it? What's going on? Well, XYZ happened. No, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, you know what? I don't experience, as a male, there are things I will never experience the same way you do.
Probably not.
Well, we had that issue, right? I mean, so it's like, gosh, is this a new concept? No. I mean, I pretty much think it's been male, female for since the beginning.
Since the beginning of time, with two completely different experiences.
Exactly. So
I think even girls, sometimes women, girls, I don't want to say become victims, but tend to think all the downsides are being in women. I'm like, no.
No,
you don't have the social pressure to take care of families and buy big homes and compete against each other on this financial spectrum. We're allowed to cry and nobody judges us for it too badly. There's a whole host of issues that are very unique to men that we'll never know.
Well, and conversely, there are a whole host of issues to women that we'll never know. And so that's actually kind of why we're here, the yin and the yang. We've got the diversity, we've got the different stuff, but to sit and just pound division and pound stratification and pound all this different stuff, it makes no sense. And how one person can say something and they lose their job and their career, somebody else says the exact same thing and they don't lose their job and their career.
Yep.
Wait a second, right? and wait a second, because I said this to a friend actually a number of years ago. I said, can't we just all get along? And he went, nope. And I said, what do you mean nope? And he said, we're not built that way. I said, I refuse to accept that. Why can't we? I mean, I know it's Pollyanna. I know it's, not everything is perfect. And we've got to have the negative side to offset the positive side. I get all that. But can't we get it a little closer?
That takes consistent effort.
That's the point. It takes effort. It's the E in Dare to Dream. You've got to execute a strategy that I want to be good to people consistently.
Fair enough. And so how does the the Dare to Dream, how does that ultimately help people launch and sell their products?
Well, if you think through
besides the obvious, I think. But
well, you've got to, if you're going to launch a new product, you've got to go through all these different steps. And how does it help you? It helps you understand. That's why I teach in acronyms a lot, because it helps you understand that there are 5 specific steps. And, where are you in the process? Sometimes you're in the D, sometimes you're in the E, sometimes you're in the A, sometimes you're in the R. The point is you've got to be able to, the more you know that it's the 7 steps of the selling cycle as an example, which this also ties back to the 5 steps within Dare to Dream, within launching something. So many, not everybody, but so many people want a bouquet of roses, but nobody wants to dig the hole. Nobody wants to put the seed in the ground.
Oh, okay. I was like, where are you going with that one?
Well, but everybody wants the bouquet. They want the end result. They want the benefit, the beauty, the smell, the aroma, the feel that comes with a bouquet of roses. But they don't first recognize they actually have to dig down to create a hole, to then put in a seed, to then water and nurture and weed the garden, to allow a single rose to grow, to then do that multiple times to create a bouquet. That's the selling cycle. The explore the marketplace is the digging down. Who's our avatar? What do we have to do? The making first contact is planting the seed. The prepping for success is the watering, the fertilizing, the things like that. The offering the goods is when it breaks through the ground and it starts to pop up. The weathering the storm is having to weed the garden, right? There's weeds that are developing. That's the objections. The engage the sale is actually cutting the single rose. The requesting assistance is now creating it into a bouquet and coming together as a team. The natural growing system of anything has given us the sales cycle. It's given us, so there's a process. There's a process to having a bouquet of roses,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's not just call the store, give them a credit card, and have them delivered. Ain't the way it works. It's part of the process, right?
It's a very tiny part of the process.
So that's what I'm saying. From a training side, what you start to do is say, look at the patterns of life. And if you tend to follow the patterns, like even in the Dare to Dream, it's execute the plan. That's part of the pattern, but then it's analyze the results. It's not stay static.
No.
It's not go, oh my God, this is the first attempt and I'm going to stay this way. And so then the M is modify and re-execute. So
the M is almost like it's the rinse and the repeat.
Exactly. It is. If something is working well, then you can do it. Your modification is smaller. It's less dramatic. It's less invasive. It's all those things. So again, when you're launching a product, very rarely do people, very rarely do people get it right to begin with. But a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're the only ones who believe in what we're doing. It's what makes you think you can accomplish this, right? Well, because I want to accomplish it.
So kind of summing up, because we just hit 10:01.
Yep.
I like the Dare to Dream. I like the idea of dream and empower, like working with acronyms that are easy to remember. And those really apply to anything you're doing. Like the dream applies to any kind of digital marketing, any kind of marketing, really, any kind of business structure, any kind of personal goal. It's so simple. It's just the things that have to be done to accomplish something.
Exactly. It's just
Or simple.
It's just this, it is. If you really want to keep it simple, keep it simple.
I like it.
Perfect. Believe it or not, I actually have a talk that's the acronym simple too. I really do.
All right. I'm going to assume, let's see.
There, we're back. We're back so that we can finish.
Scott didn't come back. Okay, something happened. It all went out, but we were at the end of the broadcast anyway. So I'm really sorry we lost Scott there at the very end again, but since it's already 10, I don't want to go back and go through the process of getting him back in the feed. But thank you for watching, and if you could take a moment to like, subscribe to the page, that would be awesome. We're still rolling this out, but if you'd like to have us build your your funnel that can double your revenue, double your business live here on Double Funnel TV, please go to doublefunnel.tv.com and apply. And we'll walk you through step by step how to get that done. Otherwise, we thank you for having us. Scott's over here in the chat. It says, all good. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone. And we will see you not this next week because I will be on a cruise down in the Caribbean, but the following week for Thanksgiving. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great day.